Then next we have the slime molds. So slime molds are fungus-like protists that feed on decaying organic matter, and it shows both amoeba-like movement and spore-forming stages in their life cycle. Now, you need to take note also that protists can live in different environments. So hindi lang sila nag-i-stay sa isang environment, hindi lang nila kaya mabuhay sa isang environment. So what are these environments? So some are terrestrial. Ano ibig sabihin ng terrestrial? Terrestrial meaning they live on land, in moist soil, or in decaying matter. Others are aquatic. Ibig sabihin they can live in water. Aquatic protists mean in freshwater environments like rivers, lakes, and also in ponds. Okay, so those are the concepts that you need to know as we go on with our discussion. Okay, next here we have an example. No, we have Giardia lamblia. So what is Giardia lamblia? So Giardia lamblia, it is a parasitic protist that lives in the human intestine, which causes giardiasis. Again, Giardia lamblia is a parasitic protist that lives in our intestine, which causes disease giardiasis. It is a disease marked by abdominal cramps and severe diarrhea. So later on, no, nagkakaroon na kayo ng pagsakit ng tiyan nyo dyan, and then ang akala nyo lang is a simple diarrhea, but then we're not aware of this kind of disease, no? So it is important for us to consult a doctor whenever we feel something wrong in our body. Okay, so again, Giardia lamblia or giardiasis is a disease marked by abdominal cramps as well as severe diarrhea, which shows now that protists can cause diseases, or it can cause disease in us humans and are therefore medically important. Okay, so Giardia belongs to the group Diplomonadida. Again, Giardia belongs to the group Diplomonadida. So diplomads, or diplomonads, I should say, diplomonads are characterized by having, they have multiple flagella, two separate nuclei, simple cytoskeleton, and no plastids. So diplomonads are characterized by, again, having two nuclei, multiple flagella for, of course, for their movement, and no mitochondria due to secondary loss, which serves as an adaptation that allows them to survive in low oxygen environments such as the human intestine. So in order for Giardia to survive in the human intestine, kailangan nilang mag-adapt sa low oxygen environment na yun. That's why they don't have, or they have this loss of mitochondria. Okay? So Giardia infections occurs when a person ingests seized through contaminated drinking water in eating food or unwashed hands, and these seas are resistant to harsh environmental conditions, allowing them to survive outside the body for long periods. Now, once inside the intestine, so once na nasa loob na yung Giardia, once na nasa loob na siya ng intestine ninyo, the cysts transform into active forms which attach to the intestinal lining, interfering with nutrient absorption and causing symptoms like yun na, diarrhea, bloating, weight loss. So once nakapasok na yung Giardia sa may intestine nyo, dun that's the time na magkakaroon na kayo ng mga symptoms na may sakit kayo na ganyan, na diarrhea, bloating, weight loss, abdominal cramps, and so on and so forth. Okay? And since this disease spreads easily in areas with poor sanitation, with overcrowding, I should say, or unsafe water supplies, it is important for you to have these things. The proper sewage disposal, the water treatment, of course, the hand washing, lalo na kapag bago kayo kumain and after, and then of course, the food hygiene. So these things are essential for you. These things are essential for public health measures to control and, of course, to prevent giardiasis. So again, itong giardiasis na to, nakukuha natin siya sa mga maduduming practices natin. Hindi paghugas ng kamay before kumain, paghawak ng kung saan-saan, and then after nun, hindi maghugas ng kamay, and so on and so forth, and pag-inom ng kung ano-anong tubig. No, that's why yun nga sabi ko kanina, it is important for you to have hand washing, food hygiene, water treatment, and then proper sewage disposal. Okay, so those are the things, those are the concepts you need to know when we talk about Giardia. Next, we have the Trichomonas vaginalis. Okay, so Trichomonas vaginalis, it is another parasitic protist that is sexually transmitted and it lives in the human reproductive tract. Kanina si Giardia, it lives in the human intestine. Ito naman si Trichomonas vaginalis, it lives in the human reproductive tract. It is, yun nga, similar to Giardia, wherein it lacks mitochondria. Same sila na secondary loss of mitochondria. And the reason is that for adaptation, again, for adaptation, which allows it to survive in low oxygen environments inside the body. Okay, so T. vaginalis is a common inhabitant of vagina of course, sa females. Now, Parabasalans or Parabasala have flagella and undulating membrane, which helps them swim and move smoothly in liquid environments. Of course, katulad ng nalalaman natin that when we talk about flagella, the very function of it is for the movement. Okay? So again, Parabasalans have flagella and undulating membrane that helps them swim and at the same time to move smoothly in liquid environment. Now, these two characteristics or these structures allows them to reach nutrients, to attach to host tissues, and to survive in low oxygen places like human reproductive tract. Okay? So that's under Parabasala or Parabasalans. Next, we have Euglena. So what is Euglena? Euglena is a free living protist that has chloroplast. So again, para saan pa si chloroplast? So when we say chloroplast, it is for the photosynthesis, allowing it to produce its own food in the presence of course, the sunlight. But when the light is absent, it can absorb or ingest organic nutrients from its surroundings. And that ability, that ability to switch between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition is what you call now the mixotrophy. Okay, and then this mixotrophy helps Euglena survive in changing environmental conditions such as shallow freshwater habitats. Again, let me reiterate that when the light is absent, Euglena, when the light is absent, it can absorb or ingest organic nutrients. And that ability to switch between autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition ay tinatawag nating mixotrophy. That's why ang nakalagay dito sa may PowerPoint natin is that Euglena is chiefly autotrophic, some are mixotrophic and heterotrophic. Now, let's look on this diagram. Okay, so this diagram shows Euglena wherein a euglena is a unicellular organism with both plant-like and animal-like animal-like features or structure. So isa-isahin natin itong mga structure niya at isa-isahin din natin yung mga function nitong mga ito. Okay, for the first one, we have the flagellum, or what we call the flagella. So when we say flagellum, it is the long whip-like structure of a euglena. So again and again, kapag sinabi natin flagella, flagellum, it is for the movement. That's the flagellum in the euglena. No? So it helps euglena move in water. So it works like a tiny propeller. Okay, that's for the flagellum. Next, we have the stigma, or what we call the eye spot. So as you can see, itong red, okay, red structure dyan, yun yung tinatawag natin na stigma or eye spot. So the stigma is the red eye spot. No? From the term itself, eye spot, the function of stigma is to detect light. Again, the function of your stigma is to detect light. Another one is that it helps euglena move toward light for photosynthesis. And that act is what you call now the phototaxis. Again, the stigma or the eye spot helps euglena move toward light for photosynthesis. And that's what you call the phototaxis. Phototaxis. Okay, so that is for the stigma. Next, we have the photoreceptor, or what we call now the paraflagellar body. So this photoreceptor works together with the eye spot. So ang katulong niya, ang kasangga niya sa function niya is si stigma or si eye spot. So para saan naman to? It is used to sense light intensity. So it also guides movement towards the light source. So parang pareho lang sila ni stigma ng function, which is to detect light and to sense light intensity. Okay? Then next, we have the chloroplast. Again, kapag chloroplast, alam naman na natin itong lahat. No? And this makes the euglena plant-like. So the chloroplast contains the chlorophyll, which is, of course, the site of chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis wherein food is made using the sunlight. And then next, we have the polysaccharides, or polysaccharides stored by the photosynthesis. Okay, polysaccharides, or what we call now the food storage. When we say polysaccharides, these are food reserves. No, so the excess food, yung mga tira-tirang food. Okay, the excess food during photosynthesis is stored here in polysaccharide. Kaya nga tinawag natin siya, or kaya nga sinabi kong food storage siya. So this polysaccharide is similar to starch in plants. Next feature naman, we have the nucleus. So the nucleus, again, katulad ng sinasabi natin from time to time, no, the nucleus is the control center. So the nucleus contains now the genetic material, or what we call the DNA, and it controls the cell activities. That's for nucleus. And then next we have nucleolus. So again, this is one of the misconception no, ng mga estudyante na sinasabi nila that nucleus is the same with nucleolus. That's not the case po. No, nucleus is different from nucleolus. So what is nucleolus? The nucleolus is found inside the nucleus. And the function of your nucleolus is to produce ribosomes. Again, the nucleolus produces ribosomes, which makes it an important feature or an important structure in terms of protein synthesis. Again, your nucleolus is found inside the nucleus and it produces ribosomes, thus makes it important for protein synthesis. And then the last one is we have the contractile vacuole. So the contractile vacuole helps in maintaining the water balance. Okay. Aside from that, it also removes excess water from the cell and it prevents the cell from bursting. Basta when we talk about the water, no, the excess water, the water balance, automatically that's your vacuole or the contractile vacuole. Okay, so that's it for the part one of our discussion. Now, for the second part, we'll continue with the different samples of protists. But for the meantime, let's focus first now on the things that I've discussed with you.